Ma'am, we can start.
Yep. Uh, So a very good evening to all of you who are attending this SIP chat from the Society of Indian Physiotherapists. So today we have with us Professor S.S. Rao, and it's my proud privilege to host this SIP chat with one of the stalwarts of physiotherapy. And Dr. Professor S.S. Rao needs no introduction. My first impression of him was of awe and admiration. I was just an intern at the National Institute for the Orthopedically Handicapped in Kolkata. And at that time, Sir was in the UK. And through the 3 months that I was there, all I could hear was a lot of things about Rao Sir. Now, he returned to India possibly during the last 2 or 3 days of my internship. And when we'd heard so much about him, that when we actually met him, I felt as if the god of physiotherapy had descended on earth that day. So, sir, a very warm welcome to you, and need your blessings all the time, as we always have had your blessings. So, thank you for coming to this show.
Thank you, Shabnam. Thank you for hosting this. At the outset, I would like to convey my regards to all my seniors, my colleagues, love and best wishes to the youngsters and my students who may be watching this program right now.
Oh, sir, I'm sure all your students are. I mean, I'm sure they're very excited about this. So, sir, should we start?
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, like being where you are today, this pinnacle of your the professional life, which has been the proudest moment so far in your life, professionally?
Oh well, a tough question to answer. Nonetheless, what can be uh, more than anything for a teacher if his students do better than him and they achieve higher heights and good positions in India and abroad, isn't it? As a teacher,
Right.
one should take pride in that. So
Right,
I
sir.
am happy with that. Wherever
So,
they're all in good positions. Some are principals of colleges, some are very good, doing it very well in US. In the UK, only yesterday, one of my students called me, and he's in the NHS in a very good position. So what else do we want as a teacher? I think that gives you a lot of pride, and I take pride in that. In fact.
absolutely, sir. So this way there have been several proud moments of your life, because I think it's the generations and generations of physiotherapists who've kind of been your students and who graduated from NIOH.
Yeah, I can't count the number, how many students have passed out, but yes, majority of them, and they are still in touch with me. You see, that itself shows the bond between the teacher and the students. It's not that they passed out 20 years ago and they've forgotten me. They're always in touch either by WhatsApp or by calling up or whatever way. So that gives you a good feeling, really.
True, sir. So, sir, you are basically known, because of your association with NIOH Kolkata. So, but you're not originally from Kolkata. What made you come to the city of joy?
Ah, well, it is a city of joy, no doubt. What made me come, you see, I was prior to coming to Kolkata, I was in Nirtar, in Olatpur, in Odisha. And I joined there in 1977 as a junior physiotherapist. In 79, I became a senior physiotherapist. Thereafter, there were no posts in the hierarchy. There was no other rung of the ladder to rise up. At that point of time, NIOH had advertised for a superintendent physiotherapist, which was the next step after the senior physiotherapist. So, like anybody else, you see, I had tried for a higher stature. And at the same time, NILD at that time was running the BSc Honors physiotherapy courses under Jadavpur University. So I was more keen into going into teaching. So that made me leave Nirtar and come back to Calcutta. And once I was in NIH, well, I continued there for more than 28 years and retired in NIL. Quite happy about it.
Yes, sir. We are also happy about that. So, sir, in NIOH, like, you and Dr. PK Mitra, God bless his soul, he's no more. Like, you were a team. People would join NIOH for the to study from the two of you. So would you like to, say a few words about him, your colleagues in NIOH?
Yeah, you see, unfortunate that his life cut short at a very young age. He just retired, I think, and at
Yes.
that age itself he expired. That's very sad, no doubt. But then, yes, I knew P.K. Mitra before itself while he was in PGI Chandigarh. He had graduated from Nagpur and he had joined PGI Chandigarh. And then he came to Olatpur, he came to Nirtar as a lecturer. But you see, the problem was his father was a quadriplegic for more than 10 years, completely bedridden.
Oh,
And
God.
his house was in Calcutta, very close by to our institute where we were. So he always wanted, his mother wanted him to go back to Calcutta so that his father stays peacefully in his house for the last few years or whatever. So that prompted, and luckily there was an advertisement for us. You may recall your teacher, Dr. D.P. Banerjee, that time was the
Yes,
deputy director
of course.
of
Yes,
NIOH,
yes, yes,
isn't it?
yes,
So he asked
yes,
me,
yes, absolutely.
do you have anybody who is good for this post? So I suggested P.K. Mitra's name. Then I asked him to apply. He applied, and well, the rest is his destiny, and he got it. So luckily, I mean, in a way, I could help him to
Right,
that
sir.
extent. And yes, he was professionally good. We had a good team. Students gelled well with him. So that was pretty good. We had a jolly good time.
Right, right. So yes, I mean, the two of you made NIOH like a dream place. It was one of those, I mean, those were the heydays of NIOH, I guess. So, sir, we all are aware that, you've done your you've done your professional graduation from IPH, New Delhi. And then you say that you went off to Nirtar. So how was the transition? How did you feel from Delhi to Nirtar? I mean, how did you feel about it?
Yes, it's something like heaven to hell sort of thing, if I put it that way. I was in Delhi and I landed in Olatpur. At that point of time, it was very pathetic. It was a village without any amenities. Even I remember for a cup of tea, we had to walk 3 kilometers to a nearby village to get a cup of tea in the morning. And there were no proper houses, no toilets, etc. It was in that situation. Because actually, you see, it was a hospital run by a missionary and they had
Okay.
deserted it for some reason. And that time, the government of India was looking for a place to set up a rehabilitation center. Dr. Shankaran, you might have heard of him, Dr. Balu Shankaran from Safdarjung Hospital.
Yes,
The
yes,
Orissa
yes.
government had offered him this. A ready-made hospital with operation theatre, beds, etc. Everything was found, though it was interior. So since they got that, they decided to set up a center there, which was that time called as National Institute for Prosthetic Orthotic Training. In 1984-85, it became Nirtar, after it became an
Acha.
autonomous body.
Right,
Earlier,
right.
it was under Alemco Kanpur, Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India. So it so happened that when I finished my diploma in IPH, even before my results were declared, I got the interview call.
Ah, okay.
Even my result wasn't declared. And I still remember our results weren't declared. And when I had to apply, when I had to go to Olatpur for the interview, I went to a college and Miss Achla Pava was the director that time. She was a physiotherapist, she was the director. So I told her, ma'am, this is my thing. Could you let me know by the result whether I'm passing or failing? She says, no. She says, why do you want to know? I said, madam, I've got an interview call. If I'm failing, I'm not going because all the way from Delhi to Bhubaneswar. And that time there was only one train called the Utkal Express.
Right.
We
So
had a
it's still
Bharat
there.
Darshan with that train. So I said, madam, this is my problem. She said, when is the interview? I said, 4 or 5 days more. She says, what time is your train? I said, it's the night from Old Delhi station. He says, you do one thing, come one day before or come on the afternoon that same day. Only then I can tell you, not now. So I did that. A day before my departure for Bhubaneswar, she let me know that yes, I was passing. So with a lot of confidence, I could go for the interview. Otherwise, there was no point in going.
True.
And when I landed there, well, see, we were looking for a job because at that time, you may not be knowing, anybody graduating from anywhere had to register themselves in the employment exchange.
Oh,
Yeah, so the
okay.
employment exchange will give you a number that you are registered. And whenever any vacancy for a physiotherapist, something comes out, they'll inform you. That's how the information used to come. We didn't have your employment news and things like that, like we have these days. So I had registered there also, but I didn't get any call from there. So anyway, I got it. Then people even asked me why I didn't try in Delhi. You see, in Delhi at that point of time in Safdarjung Hospital, there were 12 physiotherapists already working.
12 physiotherapists.
12.
That's a good number.
Yeah. So had I joined there, I would have been the 13th. And if I had been the 13th, had I been the 13th, I would have retired at best as a senior physiotherapist. It's
Right.
no more than that.
Right.
But having come to Olatpur, yes, avenues opened up. I learned a lot there because it was the first service. I learned about orthotics and prosthetics. I could learn about a lot of, because I was the only therapist. We had very good orthopedic surgeons coming, doing surgeries. And you know the best part, there was a lot of power shedding there. Once the current goes for 2 days, you wouldn't get current there. And the surgeries were on with torchlights. So fortunately for me, I got the opportunity to hold the torchlights and watch all the surgeries going on. So I could learn a lot there. So I always consider that my fortune that I was there and I started my career. Now your question was how I came to NIH Kolkata. You see, I became a senior physiotherapist here. Then I landed up in Kolkata. And there also I had a good time, no doubt, with a lot of people. So that's the thing.
So, sir, we've heard about the lady with the lamp. Now you would like the physio with the torch.
Sorry, I couldn't get you.
I said there is like Florence Nightingale was considered as the lady with the lamp. So you would be considered as the physio with the torch, you know, both pioneers in their profession, sir.
No, it's opportunity.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was a golden opportunity. Why should one miss it? You see, I was just fresh. I didn't have that much of knowledge also. You know, I can give you an incident. Once Dr. Shankaran was there on a ward round. And we had an element type of paraplegic patient who was a below knee amputee on one side and a flaccid limb on the other side. And in the ward round, my orthopedic surgeons were also there. He asked us a question, if I do a Panteller's orthodesis on the other limb and fit him with a PTB prosthesis, can you make him walk? This question was posed to me. Believe me, I didn't know what a Panteller surgery is.
Okay.
I didn't know. All I know is the PTB prosthesis, yes. So he was a senior person and in front of him, I couldn't say no. I said, yes. My surgeon standing next to me, he was poking his elbow. He said, you know, what are you saying? I said, I'll ask you later on. Right now, let me keep my respect to myself. That evening, I started reading Campbell's orthopedic surgery and Mercer's orthopedic surgery books. And that is when I started learning about triple arthrodesis, which are the joints done. Because in those days, polio surgery was plenty. A lot of surgeries in PPRPs and polio cases were being done there. And most of these surgeries are done in those cases. In a flaccid case or when there's a deformity and things like that. That's how I picked up reading the orthopedic surgery part. And that helped me in passing it on to students.
Sure.
Because you see, I believe in one thing. You see, though orthopedics is taught by an orthopedic surgeon to our students everywhere, the surgeon will not delve into the depth of the surgical procedures.
True.
Even if a student asks, he says, you're not to perform a surgery, so that's not required for you. But as a therapist, you and I will understand better. Unless I know what was done, I will not understand how to treat him. So what movements to do, what not to do.
Very correct, sir.
So if the surgeon doesn't, so I took it upon myself, okay, let them not do it, let me tell it. So you see, that helps you a lot. And that helps the students also. So yes, I'm indebted to Nirtar, no doubt about it.
So, sir, who were your students in Nirtar? Anyone that we know, like anyone that who's now associated with Nirtar, anybody like that?
Who are my students?
Like in Nirtar, so anyone who was in Nirtar with you, junior to you, who's still...
There was a therapist called Shashidharan. He was my junior in IPH. He joined Nirtar. Okay. Then I had a Nagpur. He was also there. And we had some ex-JCOs from the army, the Pota course. Because our director was a brigadier. So he could get them from the army, retired army physiotherapist, physio-occupational therapists. And we had
Oh,
one
like, sir,
occupational therapist.
in those days, the army people could also become physiotherapists without any formal training. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were from the AMC. They had a course called Physio Occupational Therapy Assistant Course, POTA, POTA.
Okay.
But they were good in handling equipment rather than giving exercises and things like that. They were good masseurs,
Right.
I should tell you.
Okay.
And yeah, and they could operate the short waves and microwaves and what have you. They were very good at it.
Okay. So, sir, in your entire career, like as a teacher, and you've been like teaching for years, what was who were the most challenging students, or which was the most challenging situation in your life that, okay, this was something that you remember and you're like proud of, or you look back on and say, gosh, thank God I did it well types?
Well, Shabnam, you have also been a teacher and you are a teacher. And you will agree with me, for a teacher, every student is a challenging student. More so in this era where they have access to all information. See, sometimes you may not be knowing the answer, or just to maintain your respect, you give them a wrong answer. The next morning he comes out and says, sir, you gave me a bluff. I've checked the net, this is the correct answer. Nonetheless, since you've asked me a question, you see, while I was in Niftar, there was a short course for orthopedic surgeons, refresher course. There for a 2-week period. And usually they used to have after supper classes, evening 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The whole day they used to see surgeries and the OPD and all that. Late evening 7 to 9 p.m. they used to have classes, for whom I had to cover up a bit of physiotherapy part like manual muscle testing, goniometry, exercises, PRE. Okay, so that was a bit, they were challenging students, challenging in the sense they were all qualified orthopedic surgeons. Even if I had a slip of tongue in the origin or insertion of a muscle, they could always catch me any moment. Right. Not only that, in the class, in the last benches, the stalwarts like Dr. B. Mukhopadhyay, Shankaran, and lots of people used to be sitting and listening to me. And I always used to keep looking at my watch so that 1 hour passes and I can rush out from here. But that it gives you a lot of confidence. And when you get a pat on your back by such senior surgeons, it helps you a lot. It means a lot.
True, sir. True, sir. That's right.
Because I still remember Dr. B. Mukhopadhyay used to come to Aladpur, and he had left strict instructions. No patient of scoliosis will leave without a Milwaukee brace, and he has to see the patient. And he insisted upon me, you have to do the exercises with the brace on. Unless and until I could show him that, he won't let the patient go. Now tell me which orthopedic surgeon does it these days? There could be many who don't know the Milwaukee brace also.
That's true, sir. That's true.
So these things are good. You see, they help you a lot. And this information I could pass on to my students. See, I didn't keep it to myself. Knowledge is not for yourself. True. It is to spread.
No.
So I spread it out to all my students and they have taken benefit of it. So those are the challenging students, if I may call them challenging. But it was only awe. It was not fear. It was just awe because they were already qualified, and any slip of the tongue, they could always catch me. But luckily it didn't happen. They were good. They understood.
So did they have any reaction? Oh, well, we are going to be taught by a physiotherapist. You know how orthopedic surgeons, the joke about orthopedic surgeon is that what's the difference between orthopedic surgeon and God? And the answer is God does not think he's an orthopedic surgeon. So orthopedic surgeons have a mammoth ego. So how was it teaching them, and what was their reaction when you initially started teaching them?
When I started teaching them, well, I was introduced by Dr. Mukhopadhyay and Dr. Shankaran that he's a physiotherapist here and he'll be covering these topics for you. Thereafter, you see, it was left to me. So I used to talk to them, I used to teach them, but I never felt that sort of ego thing with them. Because you see, when I was teaching them, I deliberately used to touch upon topics which they are not acquainted with. That is a bit of cleverness. Like, for example, biomechanics. Believe me, orthopedic surgeons are not very clear about biomechanics. Okay, so things like that, but never. I didn't even have this problem in my service time also. The physiatrists were very good to me. The orthopedic surgeons were very good to me. And I still believe, you see, the orthopedic surgeons or physiatrists are not our enemies. You see, we always condemn them or say, who are you to prescribe this? Who are you to do that? It's not that. if I could justify why I'm saying this is wrong and this is right, or this should be done like this should be done like that, and I'm able to justify, convince them, your respect will go up. They'll never condemn you. And that's
I
for
agree, sir.
any
Our work
profession as
shows.
such.
That's for any profession. True, sir. True, sir.
Because I have dealt with a lot of physiatrists throughout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Even in NIOH, I think this
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
physiatrist-driven institution.
There's DNB physical medicine also in NIOH and
Okay,
in
right. So they're all right, right. So I mean, like, you know, your batchmates from IPH, like, are they? What we've come to know is that, you know, hardly any one of them stayed back in India, whereas you were the one who was like with the true nationalist, with the, you know, holding the Indian flag high. So what
No, out of
were
my
your thoughts
batch,
about it?
probably I'm the only guy stayed back, and a few girls. They got married in India and stayed back. Few girls would, but all the boys are outside, either in Australia, UK, or in Norway. Norway are plenty, settled down. There are plenty there. You see, in those days, what used to happen, there were no advertisements and all. Jobs were very scarce. So they used to make rounds of the Indian embassies and high commissions in Chanakipur, where there used to be a list of vacant posts in that country. So they used to jot down
Outside,
that, apply there. Yeah,
outside the embassy. Arre wah, acha.
yeah, in the
That's
embassy, you see,
interesting.
for example, Norway. In Norway, they say nurses, so many posts, physiotherapists, so many posts. So they used to see that, apply, and get selected, and they left. Not like these days where you have an agency who's going to select you. You have to appear for TOEFL or all these things. Nothing was like that was there. So they got the job, they left. And they never turned back and saw, came here. They're all chelas of Keltonborn in Norway.
Right. So you didn't feel like going, sir? I mean, you didn't have the
Not
urge
really,
to
because
go overseas and work?
maybe one reason could be that they couldn't get a job as soon as I got. I told you, like, before my results were declared, I got a job offer. Had they got such an
Right.
opportunity, probably a few of them would have stayed back. Probably. I'm not sure. But I stayed back because, you see, my parents were here. I'm the only son. I got 3 sisters with me. So it was not feasible for me to leave my parents and then go and stay there. Because going abroad means you're going for good. Once somebody goes and stays there, they don't feel like coming back and working here. So I stayed back.
True, sir.
I don't call it nationalism, but then that was the reason.
Right. So it's good for us, good for Indian students that you stayed back, sir, and we got to, you know, we gained knowledge from you, sir. So, tell us something about your earlier school days, your family, like those formative years of your life.
Oh yeah, see, my father was a central government officer, and he was transferable, relocated every 2-3 years. While he was in Koraput in Orissa, I was the director of administration there. There were no schools in that area, so he put me in a Sainik school in Korkonda, which is in Andhra Pradesh. For 2 years, I was there. Then he was transferred to Nagpur. From there, we came down to Nagpur. Then I was admitted in Kendriya Vidyalaya in Nagpur. From Nagpur, we went to Bombay. Again, in Bombay, in IIT Kendriya Vidyalaya, we were admitted. And from Mumbai, we came down back to Delhi. So finally, in Delhi, I finished my higher secondary in Kendriya Vidyalaya, Delhi Cant. And thereafter, my pre-medical after the 11th. In those days, there were only 11th classes. Plus 2 wasn't there. Higher secondary was class 11. And then I did pre-medical and then joined IPH.
So was physiotherapy your passion, your calling, was it? Or did you try medical and then not get through or something like that, and then you joined physiotherapy? How
You mean
was
to
it?
say whether I chose physiotherapy as a first choice? No.
Did people
The
know
answer
about
is a big no.
physiotherapy then?
Even
Okay.
today, I doubt if that is true. Even today, you ask any student, did you choose it as your first choice? They would be saying no. Everyone tries for medical or whatever it is. They don't get it and they land up here. I don't know why. But honestly, that is still the scenario existing. So the same happened with me. I didn't know what physiotherapy is. But one of my dad's colleagues had some cervical problem. He was being treated at IPH with cervical traction and ultrasound and what have you. So he told my dad, why don't you send your son there, go and see that. That's also something to do with medical profession. So I went there. I saw students and all that with aprons and all. There were interns also. Spoke to a few of them. They said it's good. And in those days, we used to get a stipend of 100 rupees a month in the course.
Wow.
100 rupees a month.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah. So the process of admission was a written test, which was full of general knowledge. So I got the prospectus, gave the written test. In the evening was the interview after the results were declared. And in the interview, they asked me, would I prefer physiotherapy or occupational therapy? And believe me, I didn't know either of them. But promptly it came out from my mouth, physiotherapy, and I got it. Because in those days, IPH is now, but earlier it was called Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Physio-Occupational Therapy. That was the original name.
Acha, okay.
Later on, it became IPH, Institute for Physically Handicapped, when the Ministry of Social Justice took over it. But earlier it was Physio-Occupational
So that's
Therapy.
wonderful. A premier institution was known by physiotherapy and occupational therapy. That's great. I mean, like considering that time, it is great that institution was named after physiotherapy. Even today, institutions like health science or healthcare, a physiotherapy and occupational therapy institute at a national level, that was it was quite an achievement for the profession, I would say.
Yeah, it was a 3-year diploma. And I think the only diploma with 3-year duration. And we had almost every subject for 100 marks. We had even orthotic, prosthetic theory and practical 100 marks each. And in the practical, we were asked to make a short cock-up splint and a cervical collar, which the modern day, even orthotists will not be able to make because you get ready-made collars. We had ophthalmology, obs and gynae, dermatology, radiology, only no written examination, but we had radiology as subject, nursing, bandaging, all the subjects for 100 marks. Unlike these days where it is clubbed, reduced to 50 marks or something like that. So it was very good. At that time, only KEM Hospital in Mumbai and probably Nagpur Medical College had a 2-year degree course. So ours was a 3-year diploma.
Acha, so your diploma was diploma and they had a 2-year degree.
Sorry?
So what was the, so yours was a 3-year diploma.
Yeah.
And theirs was a 2-year degree.
Where? Yeah, theirs was a 2-year degree, right.
So how was the syllabus? I mean, was yours better than theirs?
Our syllabus was very vast, very, very vast. And in those days, we had very good teachers also. My batchmates will vouch with me. We had very good teachers with whatever limited knowledge they had. They did not keep anything to themselves. They gave all and everything to us. And you see, in those days, it was so difficult because books were not available. Tidy was the Bible. And Electrotherapy by Sidney Leach, the name you wouldn't have heard. Clayton's Electrotherapy and Gardner's Exercise Therapy. That's all. You go to a bookshop, you ask them physiotherapy books, they would look askance. No answer. There was one book depot in Connaught Place, the English book depot. If you go to him, he'll ask you to give 20 copies orders. He would get it to us from UK. Like Cash, PT, Orthopedics, PT, Neurology, all those books. It was very difficult. But still, imagine.
So, sir, so what would you say with students nowadays who have access to books, journals, online, everything is there, at the click of a finger. So when you see students with that much of access to information and you compare it to yourself, would you say that you were better off than them?
I mean, you want me to say whether I was better off than the present day students?
I mean, or are they better off than you? I mean, considering they have access to so much of information?
No, I won't say that. I won't say that because you see, books are books. Internet and Google and all these give you only the tip of the iceberg sort of things. I don't firmly believe in that. But yes, they have something like ready reckoners, you know. They're sharp enough. You give them a question, they quickly go through their Google and they give you the answer. But that will not suffice for knowledge sake. Hello, are you there?
Right. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I'm,
Yes, sir.
I'm not
Slight
able to see
network
you.
issues.
You're not visible, Shabnam.
No, no, sir. I'm right here. Slight network issues because we've had the cyclone lately, so network is a bit poor, sir. That's why.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
You know, even these posts, I'll tell you something. While I was in, when you asked me a question in NIH and NIRTAR, okay, NIRTAR had started the courses of BPT in 1986-87. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm there. I'm there, sir. My video is off because of network. I'm there.
Okay. In 1987, they started it. And before starting, they had advertised for the posts of assistant professor, lecturer, and things like that. Whereas in NIH, the course under Jadavpur University was running, but we did not have posts of assistant professor, lecturers, and all these things. So I happened to apply back to NIRTAR because it was a teaching post on a higher scale. But my application was rejected by the ministry saying that in public interest, we are not forwarding your application. So I felt very bad then.
No.
So what I did was I wrote a letter to the ministry through our director, of course, that you see, it's the same ministry, both the institutes under the same ministry. And we are already running a course where we don't have this teaching post, while NIRTAR is yet to start it, and we have already sanctioned these posts to them. So this is unfair. We should also get these posts here. Now, when this letter went to the ministry, I don't know what happened. NIRTAR got a message to stop the interviews till further orders. You understand?
Yes, sir. So आपने ministry को भी हिला दिया, sir.
हाँ, उसके बाद क्या हुआ? They gave a notice to NIRTAR that a meeting of all the directors of national institutes will be conducted, and they'll take a consensus whether such posts should be there for physiotherapists and occupational therapists or not. That was a question, and that meeting was held in Bhubaneswar. I had our director of IPH. She was one of the members, so I spoke to her. I said, "Madam, please see that these go through." Luckily for us, these posts went through, and we got it there.
Okay,
so
sir.
in some way or the other, I'm responsible for getting these posts at NIOH also. And you know, even now, I'm not sure now, AIPMR Mumbai doesn't have assistant professors and lecturers. They've got superintendent and senior because they are under Ministry of Health.
Right.
They're directly under Ministry of Health, Government of India. We are under social justice. IPH has got it, NIRTAR has got it, and the other contribution which I made was stipend to BPT interns.
अच्छा क्यों पहले नहीं था सर?
पहले नहीं होता था stipend. पहले stipend होता नहीं था. Then I had requested our director to put up a proposal to the ministry. We made a proposal, but the ministry sent it back saying, cite examples where in India do physiotherapists get stipend in internship. So I told my director, sir, there is no example. National Institute being apex bodies, let us be the leaders. So let us initiate it. Let others follow it. So somehow that gelled well with the ministry. They agreed. At that time, it was, I think, 500 or something a month, which is now about 10,000 or 14,000 something. Even UG and PG students are getting it in NIRTAR, in IPH, and in NIH. So that's also a great
so many students need to be grateful. Huh?
So
the money they are getting is all because of your.
I don't take the credit that way, but yes, I was part of it. I thought it befitting that yes, interns should get it because they're quasi-permanent, they're working full day, full time, they're helping the department. So why not? So that was the intention. And luckily they got it. So I was happy at the end of the day, well, my thing worked well.
So that's your greatness. I mean, your humility is definitely your greatness. So it's nice. So with all these years of teaching, can you recall any funny moment in your teaching career which brings a smile on your face? कि अभी भी आप उसको सोच हंस देते हो?
Funny moments, yeah. You see, when we were students in IPH, you know, wax bath, when they teach you practicals of wax bath, after applying wax, you have to wrap it up with a cellophane or with a cloth or a towel or something like that. So we were doing the practicals, and there was a student who was, I think, from UP or someplace, and he was not too good in English at that time. Now the same guy is abroad and he's very good in English now. I must give him credit to that. So he had applied the wax. He had applied the wax, and the teacher came and asked, "What next are you supposed to do?" Next, he thought that, "Madam, I forgot to rape him." He said, "Forgot to rape him," instead of wrap him. So that's a very funny moment which we still remember. And even if I meet him now, probably I'll recall that and I'll make him recall that incident. So these are trivial small things which keep us going. It happens everywhere.
Yes, of course. True, sir. True. वैसे भी सर ऐसा होता है कि फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट की स्पेलिंग ऐसी ही है, फिजियो द रेपिस्ट, इफ यू रियली ब्रेक इट अप, तो वो स्पेलिंग भी फिजियोथेरेपिस्ट की थोड़ी सी इस तरफ चली जा सकती है.
हाँ. ऐसे मैं ऑक्यूपेशनल थेरेपिस्ट को छेड़ता था, that we are luckier than you are. तुम तो ऑक्यूपेशनल थेरेपी रेप करोगे, हम फिजिकली रेप करेंगे.
सर, अच्छा ये बताइए सर, what about the fact that you when you joined physiotherapy, so what was the reaction of your family? You mentioned that your father was in central government. You mentioned that father was in central government, and you were like from one city to another. So, जब आपने physiotherapy join की, what was their reaction? Like, were they happy for you? Maybe after the initial 1 or 2 months, घर में कोई आता था, तो what was the general reaction?
Oh, well, yeah, I got you. You see, in those days, nobody knew what physiotherapy is. Even I didn't know it. A month or 2 months had passed, and we were still studying physics part of the short wave diathermy, the circuit diagram, and things like that. So we were wondering, what are we doing here? But it was, yes, my parents' reaction, because they didn't know what it is. So it was not a very big reaction from their side. But yes, it was very difficult. Anybody asking me also. Say, for example, I would be traveling by train, and somebody asked me, "Bhai sahab, aap kya padh rahe hain?" And I tell him physiotherapy, wo kya cheez hoti hai? So it took me 15-20 minutes to explain to him. Whereas these days, you see, because of the public propaganda and the audio-visual things like that, physiotherapy has got a lot of attention, especially in the sports arena. So people understand physiotherapy and what a physiotherapist is. So that was pretty difficult, yes, at that point of time.
हाँ sir, I mean I think all of us are extremely proud of our profession. I mean, maybe initially in those years you did not know, but from what you've done for the profession, and when we joined and we had people like you as teachers, we are all very, very proud physiotherapists. वो तो हम मजाक में कुछ भी बोलते हैं अपने प्रोफेशन के लिए, लेकिन we are extremely proud of it for every aspect of being a physio. So ये तो बताइए कि now that you what is it like, who's now in your family, like हमने आपकी personal life के बारे में तो कुछ पता ही नहीं किया.
I've got a son and a daughter.
Who's now?
I've got a son, I've got a daughter. Son and my daughter-in-law are in Seattle, in Amazon. My daughter and son-in-law are in UK. I am staying here with my mother and my wife. My mother is about 86 years old. We have to look after her. So I'm fortunate that she's with me, or we could be of help for her at this age.
So
and I've got a granddaughter
so nice
also.
To hear that. I mean, oh, okay. How old is she?
Well, she's also in Seattle, but right now she's in Chennai with her mother. But she'll be going back soon after this international flights are allowed.
Right. Sir, it's so nice to know that you're like, I mean, you got your mother's blessing at the age of 88, but it's actually the small things in life which kind of makes the character or builds the character of a person. So, I mean, I think we are fortunate that we have parents to look after, and God gives us the opportunity to look after them. Sir,
Yeah, yeah. See,
so you've been so involved. Sorry, sir.
there was only one sad part, you see, in my family. When I went to UK, probably on the second or third day of my landing there, I lost my father here in India. And I
Oh,
was there. It was the second or third day. And I still remember um, our superintendent physiotherapist there. She suddenly sent word for me and she asked me to come to her office in the hospital, in Robert Jones Agnescent Hospital in North West Street. I thought she's going to explain to me what I'm supposed to do, what I'm not supposed to do there. So I went in. She was very calm and composed. And she got up, went to the kettle and started making coffee and offered me a cup and she said, please sit down. So I sat down. She wouldn't say anything till then and I didn't know what for she's called me. Then suddenly she asked me, how was your father when you left your country? So I was surprised how is she asking me this question. I said, why? Then she broke the news to me. And she got this information through our institute, through the Colombo, to the British High Commission and British Council there. And they passed on the information because I went to the British Council itself as a Colombo plan student. Then she asked me, what would you like to do now? Luckily, my nephew was in Manchester. He's a doctor, a general physician there, GP. So I said, I'll go there. She said, sure. She made arrangement because I didn't know the train and all, which train goes to Manchester. So she arranged a therapist to drop me at the station, get me a ticket, and put me there. From there, I spoke to my mother. I couldn't come. I only came a year later to perform all the rituals. So that was a regret, yes. So now, at least with my mother, I don't want all those things to happen. I'm
I
here,
agree.
and she's with me.
I
That, that,
understand the sentiments, and sir, I mean, like I can appreciate the sentiments. Thank you. It's very nice, sir. Sir, okay, so on all these, I mean, you've been in the profession for so many years. Any regrets? Any regrets in your professional life about the profession, about something that you did? Anything? Any regrets that I wish this had happened during my tenure or something like that?
yeah, you see, for example, the council. I don't think in my time I'm going to see a council being formed. It's taken a long time. I don't know for what reason. Our members of the association are striving very hard. They're putting in hard work. They're meeting ministers, doing this, that. It goes forward again, takes a few steps backwards. Even now, when this, what is this called? Allied health
Yeah.
professionals. I don't know where it stands and how it stands, how physiotherapy stands in that act. We're not sure. And by the time it comes to be implemented, the government will change, another government will form, and these things are going on. Just rolling stones. We are just rolling stones will gather no moss. That's a major regret. And you see, this is one factor which has direct effect on the physiotherapy profession. Unless you have a governing body which governs your profession, nobody can protect you. People talk of first contact. Good. It's a good thing. Welcome move. But who is going to govern it? If anything goes wrong, for example, the IMA or MCI, a doctor commits something and a patient dies, for example, there is a council to investigate it, whether it was a doctor's fault or it was a spurious drug or something else. The diagnosis was wrong or whatever reason. If you and I do it, who is going to protect us? Is there anybody? IAP is only an association. It cannot dictate terms, isn't it? That is a
Right,
major
sir.
problem. And people are doing private practice. Anything that goes wrong in a practice, who is going to back them up? See, I keep telling my
So
students
that's
also
true.
during internship, during your student life, please do not do private practice. Don't do home visits. You're not qualified yet. That very fact itself will put you behind the bars. That you're not qualified, yet you are seeing a patient at home. That very fact itself will put you behind the bars, nothing else. They won't ask you anything else. See, we need that badly. Second thing is the curriculum. You see, in India, we have all the universities, they have different curricula. Not two of them are similar. For example, the Institute of Health Sciences, where I am now, it's supposed to be one of the best private colleges in Orissa. And I'm fortunate to be associated with them as the HOD in physiotherapy. Now here, the Utkal University runs semester system, 8 semesters for 4 years. Electrotherapy, exercise therapy, 75 marks is clubbed together in one paper, which are the main subjects.
Okay. Right.
In first semester, they have part 1, second semester, part 2. Again, clubbed together, 25 marks internal assessment. What are you going to examine them for? Whereas what do we have in Calcutta or Health University? 100 marks theory, 100 marks practical, 100 marks theory, 100 marks practical. Because these are the main subjects. You can't have sociology 100 marks and exercise therapy 50 marks. And unfortunately, Nirtar is also following the same syllabus. That's very unfortunate.
Really?
So if we had a council, you see, like MBBS or medical, throughout India, it's the same syllabus, the same duration. You cannot change it. In that respect, if you look back retrospectively, RCI would have been better for us. At least we would have been under some umbrella to protect us.
But sir, I think we are heading towards it. I think with all the, when you read all the entire content of the bill, it's quite much in favor of physiotherapists, and they have. I understand what you say, sir, about a lot of physios not handling for being first contact professionals and all that. But at least it recognizes the profession. The content of the bill is very complementary towards the profession. They seem to have understood physiotherapy for the first time. So that I feel is a great achievement, considering what has happened.
See,
so
even
sir,
nomenclature. Nomenclature भी ऐसा होता है. महाराष्ट्र में MPTH है, कहीं MPT है, कहीं musculoskeletal है, कहीं orthopedics है. I mean, these nomenclatures are so different. Uniformity तो होनी चाहिए ना. You have MS orthopedics. You do orthopedics anywhere in the country, but you don't have different nomenclatures. Who is going to take responsibility for this? Only a council can. Pay structures. अब पे कमीशन के सामने आप जब जाओगे, आप कहोगे सर हमारा 2 साल का डिप्लोमा वाला है, 3 साल का डिप्लोमा है, 3 साल का डिग्री है, 4 साल का डिग्री है, 3 साल का मास्टर्स है, 2 साल का मास्टर्स, सबको एक स्केल दे दो. कैसे हो सकता है? That will be a big problem for the pay commission, isn't it? This is what we have faced earlier. और ऐसे हो गया कि नर्सों से कम तनख्वाह मिलने लग गई गवर्नमेंट में, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में. See, so that is why, that is one regret,
right, sir.
because I feel sorry for all my seniors who had put in all their hard work in trying to get a council. बेचारे उनके होते हुए हो जाए तो उससे अच्छी बात कुछ नहीं हो सकती. They will also be pleased to look back. Sir, yes, at least some labor of theirs gives them fruit.
Ji, sir, I understand, because we got so many respected seniors who really put in years and years of hard work to get us the council. And even currently, even the current physio, everyone's working at it. Shadiya, sir, I think we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel very soon. I mean, given the current bill, I think we will. So, but last question, which, I mean, you have been a dedicated professional and आपने अपनी सारी जिंदगी प्रोफेशन को दी है, लेकिन कुछ तो आपने अपने लिए रखा होगा. What do you do for recreation, sir? I mean, आपकी hobbies क्या है?
Hobbies?
Yes, sir.
एक जमाना था when I was a voracious reader of English novels. I used to read Arthur Haley, Irving Wallace, and things like novels like that. Plenty of them.
Right.
Started with Enid Blyton when I was in school. The Secret Five and things like that. Then went on to Arthur Haley, The Hotel and Airport and things like that. Then Irving Wallace. And one of the novels which I like most is the, what's that called? Error of Judgment by Henry Denker. It was a fight between a junior doctor and a gynecologist. It was a lovely story where the gynecologist, the junior doctor's fiancée, was being operated by the gynecologist, and he says we have to send it for biopsy because it's cancer. This guy says it's not cancer. And he says, no, I'm the senior, you're not supposed to answer. And he removes the uterus. That's a hysterectomy. And then this guy cannot marry her because she's lost the uterus. Ultimately, the junior doctor proves it in a scientific session that this senior gynecologist was wrong. The whole story goes like that. Something like Comma, you know. You might have seen Comma movie also.
हाँ, of course, sir. आपको अभी तक याद है पूरी कहानी? I mean,
लेकिन
you
आजकल
still
like
remember
the
the
final
entire
diagnosis,
story.
final diagnosis by Arthur Haley, whether it's a pathologist who is superior or a physician who is superior, isn't it? So I used to read plenty of such novels, but now I lost the patience to read those thick books. But yes, I watch comedy serials.
I know what you mean.
Serials. आजकल मेट्रो में आ रहे हैं ना रेट्रो दिल्ली के दूरदर्शन के हमारे टाइम के सीरियल्स like Mahabharat, Ramayana and things like that. I enjoy them now. A second round.
And sir, any other hobby that you indulge in? कुछ और?
Hobbies, well, less. I keep listening to old songs, जिनके lyrics में काफी दम है. Unlike the today's songs, जहाँ पे हाँ हूँ हो गया and more of noise and less of lyrics. So I like to listen old songs. Yes. कभी कभार मौका मिल जाता है तो.
So
Anyway,
sir,
radio हो, tape हो या
music का शौक है.
हाँ?
So sir, इतना शौक रखते हैं तो एक गाना हो जाए.
एक गाना हो
जाए.
सर
एक दो तीन lines just.
Only 2 or 3 lines I can sing for you. Okay, will it do? I think that should do.
जी sir.
Okay.
हाँ sir, बस.
शुरू करूं?
जी sir. Yes sir.
महबूब कयामत होगी आज रुसवा तेरी गलियों में मोहब्बत होगी मेरी नजरें भी गिला करती हैं तेरे दिल को भी सनम तुझ से शिकायत होगी मेरे महबूब. How was it?
This was just too good. It was just too good. I mean, like, it couldn't be better than this.
It's a very old song of Kishore Kumar, but one of my favorite songs.
मजा आ गया सर. इतना पता होता कि अच्छा गाते हो आपको पहले भी हम काम करते हैं इसके लिए सर. Lovely sir. मजा आ गया. बहुत मजा आ गया. Sir, thank you so much.
Thank you for the compliment.
Thank you. No, you have a wonderful voice, sir, and to say extempo just like that, I mean, obviously, आप गाते हैं, sir. Sir, so I will take your leave.
Are you still there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thankfully, the network has kind of sided with me to this evening. I think वो आपके blessings होंगे, sir, because you've been our teacher, so network भी आपसे डर गया होगा. Sir, thank you so much. We've really been honored that you came to our SIP chat. And personally, because I'm from Kolkata, it is an additional honor for me to host this. And
but in spite of it,
sharing your thoughts.
In spite of it, you have hosted it. I'm grateful, and special thanks to Nitesh for organizing all this. And let him keep going with it.
Oh, Nitesh is just wonderful. Yes,
Sorry?
Yes. He without him, nothing moves. And
Nitesh
is just
special
wonderful.
Thanks to
Without
him,
nothing moves.
Yeah. So convey my special thanks to him for conducting it. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
Bye-bye.
To hear you, people like us of my age group, I think we look up to you. Thank you so much for bringing us the physiotherapy profession to what we all enjoy now. We know now how much hard work you guys have put in so that we all can enjoy. Thank you so much for.
Thank you, Nitesh. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So
Bye.
this Nitesh is is that it? We could we are looking forward to the next program that we have on Sunday at 4:30.
Okay.
This is such a pertinent topic, which is like managing shoulder instability in pediatrics and adult hemiplegics. And we've got stalwarts for this, Madam Asha Chitnis and Sir Narkesh Arumugam. And the moderator is Kaushal Bhatt, who's like a favorite in our society, and he's going to be doing a great job. So really looking forward to this topic and asking all the viewers to log on and join this webinar on Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.